Support WrestleTalk!
Get in, losers! We're learning some obscure facts from this week in wrestling. You know the drill. Every day on WrestleTalk, we release a news video covering the biggest stories from the industry, but on Sunday, I run down all the tiny, fun little tales and facts that didn't quite make the weekly cut. No time to lose. On we go. I'm Adam from WrestleTalk, and here are this week's 10 wrestling news stories you might have missed. Also, please like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and then tell Laurie Blake on Twitter @LFakador that you've done so, and then tell him to send you a picture of his cat, because he said if you like and subscribe, he will send you a picture of Terry. He promised he would do that. Contact him on Twitter. Number 1, Pat McAfee assumes he'll wrestle for WWE again. The best commentator in WWE right now, don't at me, and King Nakamura Ultra stan Pat McAfee made his in-ring debut last year in August 2020 at NXT TakeOver 30, where he wrestled Adam Cole Baby, and somehow the match was great. Well, actually, it's not a mystery, it's Adam Cole Baby. But credit where it's due, Pat performed much better than anyone expected him to, and he would step into the ring one more time at TakeOver War Games. Again, a good match. McAfee hasn't wrestled since, instead joining the commentary table on SmackDown and becoming the best thing on that show. Look at him shoving his dick in Michael Cole's face, what fun. But this might not be the end for McAfee's in-ring career, as he revealed recently on the Ariel Helwani show that he'll probably get back in there because he can't finish with an 0-2 record. Number 2, WWE files trademarks for Raw Rebound and SmackDown Breakdown. WWE sure has a lot of shows, doesn't it? And not just the actual wrestling shows of Raw, SmackDown, NXT 4.6, NXT UK, 205 Live, main event, which is already a lot, but all the extra content like Raw Talk, Talking Smack, Pete Rosenberg's Party House, The Broken Skull Sessions, Shucky Ducky Quack Quack, The Bump, Sam Roberts' favorite yogurts. I'm only making some of those up, and yet WWE have somehow filed trademarks for 2 potential new shows, Raw Rebound and SmackDown Breakdown. It's worth noting that WWE have used Raw Rebound before as the name for a brief segment recapping that week's Raw, you know, when SmackDown used to just be the Raw recap show, so maybe they'll do that again because WWE needs more recaps. Number 3, Bronson Reed on Nixed North American title plans, alongside names like Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. One of the most shocking names to be released from WWE this year was Bronson Reed, mainly because he'd literally been North American champion a mere 8 days earlier and was having dark matches on the main roster ahead of an imminent call-up. And also he looks like this, what you're playing at, WWE. But turns out plans changed very quickly with his North American title reign, as according to Reed himself, now going by his old indie name of Jonah Rock, when speaking to Sports Keeda, he mentioned he'd been told by Triple H himself the plans they had in place for him, he would be a strong champion, defending the belt all the way to the end of 2021, where he'd eventually face off with the NXT champion. Sorry, mate. Number 4, Walter's WWE Status. Walter hasn't been seen on TV since losing the NXT UK belt to Ilya Dragunov at TakeOver 36. God, what a match that was. But with NXT now in the 2.0 version of the show, it seems a bit less likely we'll be seeing the Ring General show up occasionally like he did with the old NXT. Despite this though, PW Insider reporting that WWE are very keen on using Walter more beyond NXT UK, and apparently over last weekend he was in the United States. It's been fairly public knowledge for a while that Walter doesn't want to move to the US, which is why WWE haven't used him more for NXT or main roster shows. But there's always potential for him to run a short program on the main roster, inject a bit of life into a feud, maybe strike up a rivalry with, I don't know, Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar. Please use Walter more, but not like you did at Survivor Series 2019. Don't use him like that. Number 5, WoW relaunch. One of the biggest stories from the week was the announced relaunch of WoW, or Women of Wrestling, a company that was originally founded in 2000 by David McLean, who was the previous founder of Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, more commonly known as Glow. Yes, that Glow. The original WoW promotion ran from 2000 to 2001, and there were several attempts to reboot and relaunch the company in a subsequent decade with no success. In 2012, WoW returned to TV and taped a few seasons of the show over the next few years, before it was announced in June 2020 that the company had parted ways with Access TV after their acquisition by Anthem. But now they're coming back again, and this time they're bringing back Tessa Blanchard, and not only that, but the former AJ Lee, April Mendez, will be joining the promotion as a producer too. Will we get to see her in the ring? Probably not, but we can hope. Can't we? What's the point of hoping? Number 6, original draft plans for the New Day. The New Day was split up yet again in the WWE draft this year. Why don't you let us have nice things? Big E was drafted as the number 1 pick for Raw, and fair play to him, but then Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were drafted to SmackDown, poor best friends. While this was supposedly always the plan to have them split up, it almost played out quite differently across the 2 nights of the draft. The original plan was for Woods and Kingston to be drafted to SmackDown on night 1, with Big E undrafted until night 2. Instead, Bobby Lashley would be taken as the first pick for Raw, meaning fans would be left questioning, where would Big E go? Tune into Raw for night 2 to find out, and then he would be drafted to Raw, and people would be probably even more upset than they already were. So maybe smarter to book it the way they did. Of course, they didn't have to book it at all, but there we go. Number 7, Mojo Rawley talks about new League of Nations stable. We don't get hype, we stay hype. Can you hear the hype in my voice? I am hype. Mojo Rawley was actually a pretty decent WWE talent when he was given a chance, which was basically never. Remember the mirror stuff? It was weird, wasn't it? The former Rawley recently spoke to Chris Hero on his Shoot Conversation show, where he revealed he was actually going to be grouped up with Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura to form a new League of Nations stable ahead of WrestleMania 36. And I don't know if that's a group you want to be replicating, WWE. The honor of being paired with Cesaro and Nakamura eventually went to Sami Zayn, of course, while Rawley turned babyface and did a thing with Rob Gronkowski instead, featuring the 24/7 title. Serves you right for being friends with the Gronk, I suppose, Rawley. And I feel bad for Mojo. Can't be easy being friends with the Gronk. Number 8, WWE PC tapings made Danielson love wrestling again. Bryan Danielson has been a bit of an open book since joining AEW, and he's now told a very interesting story about what made him fall in love with professional wrestling again. Speaking with 6 ABC Philadelphia, Danielson revealed it was actually having to wrestle in the Performance Center era of WWE with no crowd, no reactions, and no extra audio that made him start questioning what wrestling was to him, and the challenge of making his craft work under those insane circumstances reignited his creative spark. Prior to that, he was under the impression he was kind of done being a full-time wrestler, so wanted to make as many stars as he could on his way out. So it's not actually that far of a stretch to say that without Daniel Bryan wrestling in the Performance Center with no crowd, we might never have got Bryan Danielson in AEW, and that is kind of nuts. Number 9, Malakai Black versus Buddy Matthews set for Indie Show. You know how WWE at one point had the best roster of wrestlers on the planet? That title might be taken by AEW now. There were some people you just stick in a ring together and they'd make magic, even in the confines of WWE. 2 such people were the men then known as Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy, but unfortunately, despite being a well-remembered and oft-loved feud, it never quite got the amazing 5-star definitive match we knew they were capable of. But now, they're both released from WWE, and it's been announced that Malakai Black versus Buddy Matthews will take place at an indie show called Battleground Championship Wrestling on December 18th. Maybe there, they can have their stonker of a match they never got to have in the big dub. And finally, number 10, Dexter Lumis penis size confirmed. Finally today, Indy Hartwell said on NXT 2.0 this week that Dexter Lumis has a big old dick. That's the whole story. She said on their honeymoon, they went through 2 packets of condoms, and that Lumis measures in at 9.5. That certainly is, isn't it? Dexter Lumis has a big penis. Too big, if anything. Dexter Lumis has got a big old dick. His dick's big. His dick is big. And that's our list. What's your favorite fact about Dexter Lumis's penis? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around if you enjoyed it. And for less penis-related content, subscribe to WrestleTalk. It's mostly news. There's not as much penis stuff on WrestleTalk. Jam that jam. Big old dick.